I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because loving you demanded a version of me I hadn't become yet. Some people don't disappear from your life. They disappear into your silence and live there forever. You weren't hard to love. You were hard to be brave for. I chose distance because it was easier than choosing the truth. And I paid for that choice every day after. If you still feel me without a message, without a voice, without a reason, it's because some connections don't end, they wait. You didn't break me when you walked away. You revealed the parts of me that were already broken. I lost you the moment I chose fear over honesty, and that loss taught me more than staying ever could. This isn't me asking you to come back. This is me finally telling the truth so you can move forward free. I don't even know how to begin this. I've replayed this message in my mind 1,000 times. I wrote it, deleted it, rewrote it again. Because the truth is, I don't know if you're ready to hear it, and maybe I'm not ready for how you'll feel once you do. But the universe keeps pushing me here. Your energy keeps pulling at me, no matter how far I go, no matter how silent I become. You never leave my mind. So here it is. The truth I've been hiding, the truth I was terrified you'd see. I'm afraid you can't handle it, not because you're weak, but because it changes everything you thought you knew. You only ever saw the version of me I allowed you to see, the calm one, the controlled one, the composed one. What I never showed you was the war inside me. When I met you, I wasn't ready, not emotionally, not mentally, not spiritually. Instead of admitting that, I pretended I had control. I acted distant when I cared. I stayed silent when I wanted to speak. I pulled away when I should have moved closer. Not because I felt nothing, but because I felt too much. Here's the truth about why I ran. I didn't walk away because you weren't enough. I walked away because you were everything, and that terrified me. You awakened parts of me I had buried for years. Wounded parts, guarded parts, parts that swore never to feel that deeply again. You didn't just enter my life. You disrupted it. You saw through my walls without trying. Times your energy hit me out of nowhere, and I knew you were thinking about me. I told myself it was a coincidence, but deep down, I knew better. You were never just someone I met. You were someone my soul recognized. I said I needed space. Truth? I was afraid of attachment. I said I wasn't ready. Truth? I was terrified of losing you if I tried. I acted like I didn't care. Truth? I cared so deeply it overwhelmed me. Distance doesn't break soul ties. Silence doesn't erase truth. Time doesn't weaken what was real. Even when I smiled at the world, part of me was still searching for you. And then everything changed. I realized something terrifying. You weren't just a chapter, you were a turning point. Losing you didn't bring peace. It brought clarity, and clarity hurts more than confusion, because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Here's the truth I was afraid to say out loud. I loved you before I understood what love really was. Not dramatic, not obsessive, but quiet, grounding, soul deep. The kind that stays, even in silence. That's why this message scares me, because once I say this, there's no going back. Part 2. The truth they hid behind someone else. I need you to hear this without letting pain interrupt it. Yes, there was someone else, but not in the way you think. They didn't have my heart. They didn't know my soul. They didn't challenge me the way you did. They were a distraction, a shelter I ran to when feeling for you became too intense. I chose familiarity over truth, comfort over connection, safety over depth. I called it maturity. It wasn't. It was fear wearing the mask of logic. You didn't enter my life gently. You entered like the truth. You asked nothing, yet your presence demanded honesty. You didn't chase, but your silence carried weight. You didn't control, but you changed me, and I wasn't ready for that. When you walked away, I pretended it didn't affect me. That was the biggest lie I told. I felt it in the quiet, in the nights where your absence was loud. I missed how you understood me without explanations. And that's when I realized something devastating. I didn't lose you when you left. I lost you when I didn't fight. I watched you from a distance. Your growth, your strength, your glow. Part of me felt proud. Another part felt unworthy. Because I knew you would have stayed if I had been brave enough to be honest. The connection I chose after you was easy, predictable, emotionally shallow. At first I liked that because it meant I didn't have to grow, but comfort without connection becomes emptiness, and emptiness is loud. Then one ordinary moment changed everything. A laugh that sounded like yours, something you would have loved, a feeling I used to feel only with you, and suddenly you were everywhere. I finally admitted the truth. I wasn't afraid of losing you. I was afraid of becoming someone who had to show up fully. Love avoided doesn't disappear. It waits, and sometimes it returns as regret. Part 3. The truth that ends the cycle. Here's the truth that changes everything. This connection never broke, because it was never meant to. Some connections aren't meant to last forever. They're meant to transform you. What we shared wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't almost. It was a mirror. You showed me the truth. I showed you self-worth. You were meant to learn that love should never require shrinking. I was meant to learn that love cannot survive fear. You didn't lose me because you weren't enough. You lost me because you were becoming too powerful to settle. If I had stayed while still afraid, I would have limited you. So the universe separated us, not as punishment, but as protection. I didn't come back to restart the past. I came back to close the cycle with honesty. You don't owe me forgiveness. You don't owe me another chance. This message is not a request. It's a release. If our paths cross again, it will be because we're both whole. If they don't, know this. You changed someone forever without trying, and that is rare. If this message touched something deep inside you, if a face appeared in your mind without warning, then this wasn't just a story, it was a memory. Some connections don't end. They fade into silence and wait there until we're ready to understand them. Now let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever lost someone, not because love was missing, but because timing and courage were? Share your truth in the comments. Sometimes writing it out is the first step toward healing, and you're not alone here.